Another thing about your practice here, of course, and you specifically, is that you go across the Dunkerque Gardens, you go across the border, the frontier. You just crisscross it in the course of your duties.
All the GPs in Belfast do that. That's a feature of general practice in Belfast. We do it perhaps maybe more so than others because of the historical background of this practice and the various units that went to make it up in the old days. And we do travel into all the areas of Belfast and take great pride in travelling into all those areas. I'm very proud of the fact that I can move about this city, not without due care, but nevertheless without any thought of a risk to myself. And I am a family man and I have children.
Hello, Mrs. King.
Do you ever think when you go from one parlour house to another parlour house, one on either side of the interface, as they call it, how similar the people are?
Sure, they're all the same.
Yeah.
They've all got the same problems and they've all got the same crack. The same stories and the same way of expressing themselves. There's no difference. I know that. And if everybody could see that in themselves, we would be a richer country.
Are both sides disadvantaged?
Yes. Yes. Both are in the same way and in equal amounts. The depth of the problems is such now that it has penetrated everywhere and everyone.
I called in to see you again today, see how you were. Everything going all right?
One of the deprived aspects is the lack of sports facilities. Now that sporting outlet has been provided in no small measure over the years by the boxing clubs. Now I am involved in amateur boxing and I have no feelings other than positive ones about that involvement. Many of my professional colleagues would frown on the fact that I would encourage amateur boxing, but it is a very legitimate expression of sporting endeavour in this part of the world. And certainly the clubs provide a regular outlet for these boys. Now I'm thinking in particular of St John Bosco, which is connected with St Patrick's, and the Holy Family Boxing Club.
When you have somebody coming in like that, you're learning the kid how to defend himself, but you're also teaching them discipline. And you'll find out that what you just said earlier on there was the lads that have something to prove. They think they have something to prove. But we find the lads who can really defend themselves, look after themselves, have got that bit of self-confidence to carry them through the rest of their life. They don't have to prove anything. And you find out that you get that bit of respect from the, if you want to call them thugs or, you know, kids that's going to run around and want to get into trouble all the time, they more or less stay clear of them, that type of a kid, the ones who they know can handle themselves. It's the same old story. The thugs, they can't handle themselves at all.
Yeah. And there's one word that's never mentioned in this club and never has been. I'm going to mention it, and that's religion.
Well, religion in this club's taboo, Sam. As you say, all down the years from 1949, right from 1942, it's never been mentioned in the club. It doesn't exist. People say there's bridges that it's always filled, put that gap with a bridge the gap. The gap was never there in boxing for to put a bridge across it. The kids in this club are from all over the country. That's the way it's been, that's the way it'll always be.
I think every person who would be nationalist would find Republican violence very embarrassing. It means that anything to do with some of the things you might have cherished as a child, like the United Ireland or that kind of ideal, that you don't want to talk about it anymore, because if you say something like that, then it's taken over by men of violence and you're being used.
With all this trouble and tension, what's it like to run a business? As a rule, businessmen don't take sides. I met 3 men who know exactly what the problems are.
Well, I've been done about 6 times. The last time I was done with the old gun and put me over in the meter for a few hours. Not too bad.
Tell me more about it than that. They stuck you up?
They stuck me up and put me down
up.
and just the old gun and split me around the eye. And I got a stitch around here, 8 stitches.
How many times have you been held up altogether?
That's about 6.
6 times?
Yeah, that's not too bad.
I suppose not. What about you, Sam?
Well, I have 4 petrol bombs on these premises just here. I came into Duncarn Gardens to renovate several properties. I just got these 2 shops finished and I was taken into hospital with a major heart attack. And I came out just shortly after a triple bypass operation. The wife told me a week later, I mean, I've bad news for you. Your 2 shops, which you've spent a lot of money on, put a lot of time and effort into, are completely gutted, completely destroyed.
You've been put out of business then for considerable periods at a time.
Well, the longest stretch was 3 years.
You were out for 3 years?
Yeah, this is a new building, built in 1980. So that was the longest stretch we're out of business.
Aye.
Previous to that, they'd be out of business for about 6 months at a time, or 3 months. But we've managed to survive over that period.
You're getting by. How many people do you employ?
Well, now we used to employ 3 or 4, but we're down to myself at the moment.
Is that so? Aye.
Yes, you have to cut expenses, so that's it.
All over the area, the government has been busy helping where it can. Robert Crawford's a familiar figure in the new lodge in Tigers Bay because he heads up the local office of the Belfast Action Team.
Well, as you probably know, Sam, all government departments and agencies are supposed to target their resources towards areas of social need. We're supposed to do as much as we can on that. And Belfast Action Teams, the group I work for, are one of the special initiatives targeted directly at the local community. And one of our roles is, in fact, to help to coordinate all of the other government agencies in their work in these areas.
But what do you actually do here?
Well, we have 4 main roles, Sam, and we were trying to create jobs and increase employment. We're trying to improve the employability of folk in the area as well. We're also, the second one is to improve resources and facilities for people in the area. The third one I've already mentioned, the better coordination of government initiatives as existing. And finally, the fourth one, and most importantly, improvement of the access of local people and local community groups to those services so that they in fact get a better service from government.
That's all right, that's all theoretical stuff. But have you built something or done something or what?
Well, to give you a couple of examples, Sam, over in Tigers Bay there, the Dunkirk Community Centre was funded totally by our action team. We built that really for the Belfast City Council, who ensure and maintain it and make sure that it does a good job. Another large project over there, you see St Kevin's Hall, which is part of the St Patrick's Parish setup. We didn't build the whole hall. What we did was we added a floor to it.
Both Protestants and Catholics say, like, we need so-and-so, we better see Robert Crawford and the Belfast Action Team.
They do indeed, Sam. I mean, very often they see the Belfast Action Team as a source of grants. Now, we do a lot more than that. We work on some very big projects that they don't actually hear too much about until they're actually through. But by and large, they do see us as fairly friendly folk, and they come to us whenever they need a little bit of help. And we'd like to think that we're reasonably helpful as often as we can be. But despite all the efforts of the government and local community workers, the people are still sharply divided. The most familiar example of this is in the street strutting of the flute bands on each side. The Loyalist music now finds an echo these days on the Republican side of Duncairn Gardens. I was surprised to find this band here. The flute was always, in my time, an orange instrument.